Hey guys, happy Sunday. It's your favorite guy here, the Sports Judge. Welcome. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on TikTok, click follow. The game, the rivalry. It's one of the biggest rivalries in sports. Michigan at Ohio State. I look forward to that game every year. One day, Ohio State has to beat this Michigan team. One day. I don't know when that will happen or when that will be. That's 4 straight losses to Michigan. And I can tell you, those people in Columbus don't care how many times Ohio State has been to or flirted with the college football playoff. A loss to Michigan is unacceptable. I don't care if Ryan Day has gone 66-9. None of that matters to me if you can't beat Michigan when it truly matters in a big game. We've all seen that stat that Ryan Day is now 1-7 versus top 5 teams. So you everywhere, think about it. Ohio State got beat by Michigan in a down year in their own house. And I think the worst part about all of this is Ohio State constantly, it never fails, they beat themselves, mainly on offense. The defense did what it needed to do, and then it's like, oh my God, the defense shows out and gives every opportunity back to the offense, but then there are coaching miscues, penalties, 2 costly interceptions, and a pair of missed field goals. Jaden Fielding misses 2 easy chip shots. It's just bad. That's unacceptable. Imagine that. You got embarrassed at home. Michigan comes into your house and shockingly beats you 13-10. And then after the game, which was disrespectful, Michigan players plant a flag at midfield, which led to Ohio State fans charging the scene with shoves and punches being thrown. Ohio State linebacker Jack Slayer snagged the flag, ran to the sideline, and tossed it away from the crowd as Michigan players pursued. A wild brawl erupts, prompting police to deploy pepper spray to break up the melee between more than 24 Buckeyes and Wolverines fans and players. It was an unreal, wild, chaotic scene. Bad for the game. Order needed to be restored. Was that really necessary from Michigan players to plant the flag and disrespect Ohio State's turf? And it's like, you already won the game. Just leave the field and go to the locker room. Already Ohio State players are frustrated after a disgusting loss like that one. There's no way to minimize how painful that loss was. With a loss to Michigan, Ohio State fans and players are already on edge. And when you have a bunch of Ohio State fans and players frustrated, tempers will flare when you got Michigan players taunting. Another day of highly questionable coaching decisions. Overall, listen, I know Ryan Day has navigated the landscape of both NIL money and the transfer portal to keep Ohio State competitive. I don't care if Day is 47-1 in the Big Ten against teams not named Michigan. I don't care about any of that if you can't win the big games. Yes, they're relevant, but what good is it if you can't beat teams you should beat? Now, 4 straight losses to Michigan. 4 straight losses. I kind of feel like Ohio State is never ready for Michigan. 66-10 as a head coach, but he's 0-4 against Michigan. And in every game, they've been out-physicaled at the line of scrimmage. In every game, there's been mistakes, self-inflicted wounds. In every game, the quarterback play hasn't been what it needed to be. They went out and got the best roster money could buy. And as usual, Ryan Day lets his team down again as he was out-coached. They were not prepared. I would just say not much has changed. His coaching hasn't changed. He's the same guy who never has his team prepared. Not much has changed other than the quarterback situation has pretty much been a nightmare for Ohio State. What is going to happen if this continues to be the story every year? I would think they would have to move on from Ryan Day. The team just looked so discombobulated, disorganized, and lost. All right, well, we're going to come back with Ryan Day. He's our guy. So I'm going to stick with him for continuity's sake and because his track record looks sexy until you look at the 0-4 record versus Michigan. That would make me say, oh man, here we go again. Ryan Day just isn't that guy to get us over the hump. It's just, this is the 4th straight year you can't beat Michigan. And for Ryan Day at a critical moment in the game to call a second timeout after Ohio State had already called 1 timeout, 2 timeouts consecutively, you cannot do that. That's when you know he's been getting outcoached and outclassed. Day's decisions were questioned after the game, particularly the running game. It was ineffective and non-existent. The herky-jerky tempo and the no-huddle offense. And I think if you're an Ohio State fan, you have to ask yourself this question. Is Ryan Day the guy for this job? It's not like they went out there and played their best brand of football. I mean, watching this yesterday, first of all, and that's why Ohio State players reacted the way they did following the loss. You got bullied. I mean, they got bullied and manhandled in the trenches. There's something about Michigan and Ohio State. There's just something about Michigan that Ohio State just can't figure it out. You know, you would like to think that Ryan Day would have these guys mentally and physically prepared for what is considered the biggest game on their schedule every year. It's the biggest rivalry game in college football. So it always means more. And I thought for much of the game, Ohio State seemed to be playing scared. Every talking head, Ohio State got bullied. I'll go to my grave saying Ryan Day created a soft program. As a matter of fact, I mean, again, you're not going to win important football games with this conservative coaching style. And it's just that they're way too conservative. You would like to think that Ryan Day would one day get it. If he hasn't all this time, then why would you think he would all of a sudden change his approach? This is 4 years in a row now that your Buckeyes have lost to Michigan. Saying all that, I mean, Ryan Day is going to take all the heat for this loss to Michigan with zero quarterback play. And, you know, that's just another thing that looked so bad for the Buckeyes. The offensive play calling. Chip Kelly was atrocious on Saturday. This has to be the end for Ryan Day. It's 3rd and 10 in the red zone late in the third quarter, and you have the best receiver in the country, and you decide to run a draw. That particular play call makes me question Day's confidence in his players. That was the drive that changed everything in the game. This game was all mental for Ohio State. And for whatever reason, they played differently against Michigan. 2 worst things you can possibly say about this team is that the Buckeyes play scared and soft. It's just absolutely nothing this man can do right to coach this football team. This is a game they should have won. There are expectations on that offense to score points and to beat Michigan in a down year particularly. It takes a lot of things to go right. It's the worst trait in a coach when he makes things harder than it has to be. And I know people like this in real life. They make things more difficult than it has to be. And I know this about Ryan Day. And every time Michigan squares off with Ohio State, they do whatever they want to them. I can't believe I'm sitting here telling you guys Ohio State scored 0 points in the second half and 10 points in the fourth. You can say Michigan's game plan was fantastic. Give them credit. They imposed their game plan to perfection. It was bully ball, and Ohio State got outworked by a team that proves to be the more physical and mentally tough team. It's their style of play, which is conducive to beating Ohio State. That's smash mouth football, right? I mean, that's their style of play. And every year, Ryan Day and the Buckeyes clearly can't solve their Michigan problems. All right, everyone, it's been real. Hey, as always, thanks for checking out my work. Thank you guys so much. You guys are awesome. Thanks for tuning in and keeping up with the Sports Judge. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. Bye-bye now. Have a good Sunday, everyone.